It's 5:30. We'll start with a pledge from Mr. Alderson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And now Calvin will lead us in a prayer.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Thank you for everyone that's here. Father, we thank you for this great district. Father, we ask that you continue to bless our teachers and our administrators, our students, and everyone in this town. Father, we ask that you just continue to bless them and protect them over the summer. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, Superintendent.
All right. Well, during the summer, we don't honor students and staff. We honor Hornet Legends. And so we have two tonight, Larry McDonald and Linda Matthews. And so we'll start with Larry. I tried to write a little synopsis of all the things Larry's done, but I start off in the beginning.
God created heavens and the earth.
That's right. That's right. Larry grew up.
Stand while you read.
Sure, if you want to, Larry. Larry grew up in Waco, and I get all this right here. He survived that really bad F5 tornado in 1953. And so it killed 114 people. So that was a very scary
You were
time.
downtown at the time?
I was in front of the Waco Theater.
Oh
which
my
is
God.
The Hippodrome now.
Lord.
That's where it hit.
What a story.
Yes, yes. Graduated from Waco High, married his high school sweetheart Lou, who's here tonight. And from the end, some things that I didn't know looking at his record, from June 4th, 1970 to May 5th, 1972, he served his country in the military.
In the
And
Army.
In the Army. And then in 72 to 2000, he would put in 28 consecutive years at GISD. And so he and Lou had two children, Lisa and Jason. They would become Gatesville graduates. Lisa was the top graduate of her class, I believe. Early in his career, Larry taught industrial cooperative training, a trades course at the high school. That was before I had him. I had him in PE. And my memory of Larry was we would play kickball, and he would roll it out there, and I kicked it. I thought, oh man, I was going towards first base, and I had the hardest hit in the back with the ball. Larry got me. And so I still remember that. That was we had fun playing with Coach McDonald, little things like kickball and things like that. So I went back and looked through all of Larry's old evaluations and got some good quotes. Don Edwards, who was a great guy, said Larry's always positive. He has gave a great deal of praise to his students. He has a great rapport with his kids. Bill Bradley said students enjoyed his class and their teacher. They worked hard to please you. Class was well done, well prepared, and well presented. And then after all of his teaching, he wanted to be a justice of the peace and did all kinds of weddings and funerals. And so he's a pillar of the community. And so for all those reasons, he's a Hornet legend. Larry, before you sit down, let's take a picture. We'll be in the paper. And family, y'all want to come up too and take a picture with us?
David, don't you mess the picture up.
Son-in-law. Okay.
And I his just right here.
Yes, we're going right here.
His face.
Yeah, I know you did.
Wherever y'all want to get.
There's also my daughter's, our daughter's godparents.
Okay. Everybody look. For a minute. It's on photo.
He'll get
Now it's on
flagged out.
photo. 1, 2, 3. Everybody smile. Thank you.
Sometimes there, coaching.
Was that your favorite time, Larry, coaching?
Oh yeah, you forgot that part. There was
Yeah,
a
that's
team
true.
of 5. There were 5 coaches.
Thank you. At 5 years, I started at the junior high with Kenneth Marshall was there, and my team's the only team that beat us in intramural football, by the way.
Yay.
'Cause we had had some trick plays that he'd never seen. And then after 12 weeks, he moved over to the high school and coached over there and started baseball. And the next year I coached B-team basketball, B-team basketball, B-team football, and varsity baseball. And after that, the next year, I moved to the head coaching job on the line and did that and varsity baseball, B-team basketball. We got to do everything.
Yeah.
And I helped with track.
Yeah.
But did that until Vic Prince was my head coach. And when Vic got a principal's job in Granbury, they brought in a new head coach, and he and I probably had different philosophies, and I stayed on as a teacher. And never wanted to leave. I changed a lot of jobs. I started the ICT program, and that was a lot of fun for a lot of years. Lost my mind and moved to elementary PE, and I loved those kids. And then when Mr. Ament moved over to the new intermediate school, he said, "I want you to go with me," and I said, "Well, I hope so." And had finished out my career there. And I told my wife, this is the last thing I'm going to tell you. I told my wife that this is the 24th year that I've been retired, almost as long as I taught here. And I enjoy retirement a whole lot more. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Well, our next Hornet legend is my first grade teacher, Linda Matthews. I told Linda when I talked to her, I said, "For teaching me to read, in return, we'll give you one certificate." So that's a fair trade. So, but Linda is the daughter of Dr. and Miss Ollie Beard, and she completed her entire public school education here in Gatesville. Looked her up in the 1966 yearbook, and it says charter member. And so charter member back then, did you do kinder or did y'all start in first? First, yeah. So all 12 years here in Gatesville. And then she was a member of the band and drill team, very active in all the school spirit things. And she married another GISD graduate, Rusty Matthews. And then they had Christy and Charlotte, both whom graduated from GHS. So after she got her degree from UMHB, she began her 34-year teaching career here in GISD. From 79 to 94, she taught first grade. From 94 to 99, she taught second grade. And then finally, from 99 to 2013, she was the Title I Reading Intervention teacher. And so she did a variety of things too. And I like reading those past evaluations. Dawn Edwards again wrote, "She cares about her students and treats them with courtesy. Ms. Matthew knows her subject area. She's very professional and maintains open communication with students, peers, parents, and administration." Marcia Worthington put, "She goes above and beyond in planning and working towards instruction. I appreciate all of your hard work and dedication to your students." And so for all those reasons, we selected Linda as a Hornet legend. Linda taught me to read in 1987. And so it's been a few years ago.
Yes,
You are great.
makes you feel old when you're talking to the superintendent.
Yes. Linda, did you teach Calvin?
No,
She taught my brother Kent.
Kent, I did teach
Yeah.
Kent.
Yeah.
Kelly, the same year with you.
Yes, yeah.
I got to work with her.
Okay, count of three. 1, 2, 3. Gotcha. Thank you.
Let me take over real quick. Did you know her daughter and I
Yes.
graduated together,
Yes.
super good friends, so
Best friends.
I need to send that to them too. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. Well, I think we all ought to clap for both of them.
Yes. Linda, did you want to say anything, or not to put you on the spot, but just we want to give you a chance?
No, just thank you so much. I loved every minute of it. I appreciate GISD more than you know.
Yeah, those were some fun years.
They were a lot of fun years.
Yeah, Don was still here to see y'all.
Yeah,
Good guy.
yeah, he was a good guy.
He was a
I
big-
loved all of my principals.
Yeah.
I had 3 of them.
Yeah.
Who was the
I
third
can't say
principal?
that.
May I ask who was the third principal? I remember Mr. Edwards and Ms. Worthing. Who's your fourth?
Worthington, Bone.
Spear.
Miss
Edwards.
Oh.
Pam
Oh,
Bone. Pam Bone.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, you were gone from primary when Spear was there.
With who?
Stewart? Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, is there anyone here for public comments? We'll move on to notice of intent to apply for Fed grants.
Now, y'all are free to stay.
This is good stuff out here. I want to hear this.
David, that's your
I'll see
cue.
you in
This will keep you awake.
Yeah.
I've been to school board meetings before. Excuse me.
That's right.
You know when to leave.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank y'all so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm on the wrong meeting. I don't know what happened.
What do you want?
Be sure and warn McKenzie.
I have a couple of handouts. I don't know if you can.
Let's see.
One's a long slideshow. You don't need to open that one. Let's go with the one that most GISD needs 24-25. Yep. So this is a public meeting of our notice of intent to apply for federal grants. We include state grants in this. It is a requirement to give multiple opportunities for public to provide input, to seek stakeholder input. We had a district level or district wide campus principals, campus administrators, parents, other teachers. We had that meeting on June 6th. And so today we're just having our second meeting so that we can apply for our federal grant. We go through the process of identifying needs. We've identified 10 needs for the 24-25 school year. And we've really tried over the last several years to keep the needs pretty consistent. They don't change a whole lot. And what we're doing is working to improve the education attainment for our students, and our needs stay pretty consistent. And they're not in rank order, they're in numerical order, but a very number one is always a top need for us is to recruit and retain highly effective qualified staff in all positions. And the way that this document works is the need is identified, and then the grant funds that we could use towards these needs. I'm not going to go over each one in detail unless you would like me to, but I will answer questions about any one of the 10 needs. I will point out that number 10 says GISD needs technical assistance for state and support for federal programs. We contract for our ESSA Title I grant. We pay a consultant to help us with that. It's because we use Title I funds on that. We have to have that as a need, but it is needed. The compliance with Title I is significant, and she does a great job of keeping us in line and on top of that. So we've used her name's Becky Decker. We've used her for several years, ever since I've been in this position. Any questions about the needs? We'll look quickly at the participation, the federal program participation, go over a few highlights of each program. And ESSA Consolidated, which is commonly called a Title I grant. It's multiple pronged. There are actually 5 prongs to this grant. And the way that handout is designed, the number outside of parentheses is our anticipated entitlement for this school year, or for the upcoming school year, 24-25. The number in parentheses is how much money we actually got from the grant in the 23-24 school year. And so you can see we're expected to get a little bit more from Title I-A, but the other ones are pretty consistent. Some of them go down a little bit. The Title I Part C and Title III Part A, we apply for those through a shared service arrangement with the Region 12. They manage the grant. We just get the benefits of it. Those are important to remember. Those are supplemental grants, which means they're in addition to local funds. We can't replace local funds with them. can see that all of the grant money stays pretty consistent. And what we got last year versus what we're going to get this year is about the same. And one new grant to bring to your attention for this school year, the school safety grant, which is a state grant, it's not a federal grant. Cycle 2, you'll hear things. The state does a great job of promoting their side of the story, and I think you'll see, there's $400 million available in school safety grants, which is technically true, but our piece of that $400 million was $150,000, and we applied for that and got it. It's not, you're not able to get more than the $150,000 for us. And so we applied for that grant this spring, and even though this is an intent to apply for the other grants, I wanted to include that one on there. The application deadline has passed, but I didn't want you guys to know about that and have that information. Any questions about the federal grants, the Title I, the Special Ed Consolidated, Perkins, how much money we're getting, what we're going to do with the money? We want to be as transparent as possible about how we're using the funds, not trying to keep anything a secret.
And at the moment, we're fully staffed for the most part.
We are fully staffed. We've got to get some paperwork completed on a couple that have said yes, but we're fully staffed, I believe.
That's amazing, right before.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Campuses have worked hard to fill their positions, and we've had a couple of late, people that decided to do something different. They were on top of it. Got some quality candidates. It wasn't just plugging anybody in either. It was some really good candidates. Well, if there are no questions, that is our intent to apply. So I will start the official application process tomorrow and get to work on those, because now that we've had this meeting, I can submit the application.
All right, thank you.
Thank y'all.
The next thing is consent agenda. These are items that are regularly presented to us that we don't spend time talking about unless the board wants to. They include minutes of May 26th, financial statements as of May 11th, bills and payrolls for May, budget amendments, year-to-date budget amendments to fund balance, quarterly investment report, vital signs, and food service. Does anybody want to pull any of those? Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Okay, Charles makes a motion to accept the agenda. Mary Ann Lieb seconds. All in favor? Now we're going to information items that we don't vote on, but we hear about them. Campus daily start and end times.
Well, each summer we have an information item that goes over when our start and end times will be for the campuses next year, and everything's remaining unchanged. So the time the kids get here in the morning at the campuses and the times they leave in the afternoon are all staying the same. And we listed there also pre-K and some of our special programs, like if you do unfortunately have to go to DAP. The Wings program has a morning and an afternoon session for those students who are trying to accelerate and graduate early, and so, but all those times are still the same. But we just want to make you aware that nothing's changing, and if you had anything to weigh in, let us know. But other than that, it's been working well these past few years, so we're not changing it.
All right, health insurance premiums.
Oh wait, I think we're,
Oh, did I skip down?
let's see this, I think I've got another one here, policy affecting exhibit
Yes.
listed.
I'm sorry.
This is another real quick one. So summertime is also the time when we start cleaning up all the policies and paperwork and different things, and even when people change positions, you gotta update your policies. And so I wanted to make you guys aware that DIA exhibit, FB exhibit, FFH exhibit, all these different little policies, we just simply have to update the district's designated ADA Section 504 coordinator, and so that will be going from Leanne, who's taking Daryl's spot, to Becky Weatherford, who's taking Leanne's spot. And so, just a housekeeping item before we change anything with policy. We'd like to keep you guys in the loop, even if it's something that simple.
And budget update.
Daryl.
Alrighty. Good evening, board.
Hello.
Y'all doing okay? Alright, I got an email from Dr. Pollard late this afternoon. And he came back from the TASB workshop, which several of you went with him to that event. And he gave us 2 or 3 statistics. The first one had to do with budget. He says that more than half of the Texas school districts had a deficit budget last year, and more than half, 57%, are planning a deficit budget for the coming year. So it kind of gets you ready for there's trouble amongst the school districts in Texas trying to balance their budgets. A lot of them are not balancing their budgets, and over half are planning on approving a deficit budget. We are not. 33% of districts said that they would not be offering any raises for next year. A third of the school districts. That's pretty impactful, I would say. Thank you for those stats. Kind of helps you as we go through the budget presentation. You want to say something else?
They were concerned. That's why they put those numbers out. They sent out surveys to districts, and the CFOs and superintendents respond, and so that's the feedback they've been getting. Especially the big districts are really hurting.
I went to one of the budget, and it was one of the most interesting ones. And I dare not say some things that came out of here, but it was quite interesting about how some school districts are losing money and how the state will not give them their money. It was very interesting.
Of course, next year we'll have a new legislative session, and have no idea what to expect from that one, whether they're going to do any better than the one before. So I think they're still going to be, depending on that voucher, whether it gets passed or not, whether they're going to do anything for public schools. So that's why so many of them are going to be going into deficit budgets next year, because of the inadequate funding that we're getting from the state, even though the state has a very significant surplus that they could have used. Yeah. All right, so you're at the board agenda information sheet. Can you put that up there on the screen?
Yeah.
There, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. District appropriations will increase. Okay, that's much bigger than what I'm looking at right here. I have to get my magnifying glass out. So what we're projecting is a balanced budget, and I want to tell Dr. Pollard thank you for all he did to come up with a balanced budget. It was not an easy chore. We told you all last meeting that it was going to be very difficult, and it was. It was pretty painful. We had make a lot of cuts in a lot of different areas. All the campuses, all the departments cooperated and came back with revised budgets that helped and enabled us to present to you tonight a balanced budget. But the balanced budget was really key to us being able to talk to you about what we're going to do about raises for next year and what we're going to do about other budgets. And so tonight we're able to present to you a preliminary budget. We'll have our budget workshop in August, and we'll go over that in more detail. Looking forward to that, aren't you? We have all of the HR numbers that are crunched into the program we call PMIS, Position Management Information Systems, and they're just now starting to crunch those in there. That's Joyce works on that, and so does Mackenzie. And Yancey also now is working with the PMIS. But that's what kind of puts it all into the Ascender program. And until we get it all in there and all the positions and all the stipends and everything, including substitutes, then we push the magic button and we'll see, does it come out to what we're projecting here? And hopefully it'll be close. But based on the projections, we do believe that we can present a balanced budget. This proposed operating budget, can you throw that on there real quick? Okay. So this is draft number 1 that we're presenting to the school board tonight on June 17, 2024. We're projecting revenues of $35,041,435. Projecting district appropriations totaling $34,597,306 for a net income of 444,129. That 444,129 is made up of three things: the general fund, the food service fund, Fund 240, and the INS fund, which is 599. All those funds are combined into the 444. So you can see the split out interest and sinking is 263 is our projected profit in the INS fund. The Fund 240 child nutrition projecting a surplus at 138. In the general funds, we got it down to a surplus at 41. So let's hope and pray that that's going to hold through the summer once we crunch all these numbers. But the general fund budget is the one that we really needed to be at a positive number, 41,508. So back to the agenda information sheet. Appropriations are going to increase by 2.6 million. That's made up 1.8 million for employee, let's see, increases in personnel of 1.817. And of that number, 650,000 is going toward employee raises. So we're making some increase to the positions and the scales. So we didn't leave the scales intact. We raised them some. There were 700,000 in additional positions over what we had the prior year that are included for next year. And Dr. Pollard has informed you of those different positions that make up that 700,000. We also were able to throw in the 122,000, which is what it would take for us to be able to keep paying the employee the employer portion of the medical cost at that least affordable plan. I know we talked about that at the last board meeting, and y'all were hoping and praying that we would be able to do that. So that is included in the balanced budget. Is the district picking up about 122,000 in extra costs for the medical insurance on behalf of the employees. We're also transferring about 600,000 in personnel costs from the ESSER 3, which runs out actually in July of this year. And that was what we mini called the ESSER cliff. And they were concerned about what are you going to do about the ESSER cliff when the ESSER money runs out. Well, that's 600,000 of ESSER monies and salaries this past year are now going to be absorbed into Fund 199. So that's a chunk of change. So that's in addition to the raises. So that's why the personnel costs went up 1.8 million. And then there's about a net of 255,000 in offsets to grant funds and cost reductions. Dr. Yancey mentioned a while ago about a new grant that was a security grant of 150,000, if you recall. And we're going to take that 150 and we're going to apply that toward the SRO salaries. And so that was helpful that we were able to do that. So thank you, Dr. Yancey, for working on those grants, and it does come in handy. Campus departments, those all increased about 250,000. Most of them stayed pretty close to even, but there were some increases. Band was increased 150,000 to take care of new band uniforms. The maintenance budget was increased 70,000 to take care of the property and casualty insurance premium increase that we've already made you aware of. And then we have addition of several new buses, 4 new buses.
4, yes.
Yeah, that are going to be partially paid by the grant, but then we're also going to be paying for some of that out of our transportation budget. So that's all in this balanced budget. So that'd be 4 new buses. In addition, we have budgeted a one-time principal payment on the 2013 school bond, which is the 2013 school bond would have been the high school we're gonna pay down a $500,000 payment in February of '25 as a one-time pay down instead of doing refunding of one of the bonds that we could have done, but they're pretty costly to do those refunding. And we've decided to just take 500,000 in excess monies that we'll be getting in INS, keep the INS rate the same at 20 cents, and we'll pay down $500,000 on one of our bonds. So that'll save money long term. District revenues are increasing 2.1 million. Certified property values, we had the preliminary values come out in April. These certified values will come out later in July, and they went up about 1%. The additional tax collection is expected to be around 500,000. The SHAR's Medicaid reimbursements was another change that happened to our budget. We had to decrease that income about 350,000 to match what we believe we're actually going to get now from Medicaid SHAR's program. The state funding will increase about $2 million, primarily as a result of that TRE that we passed back in the fall, where we're taking advantage of 3 golden penny monies. And then there's some additional funding that's coming from the state for INS hold harmless. And I mentioned here on the agenda item that one of the important things about the budget is, of course, enrollment and attendance. You guys know that. So enrollment, end of the year, fiscal 24, at 2667, which was up 1% from the prior year. So enrollment went up 1%. That's helpful. And it's possible that we might see another 1 to 3% enrollment increase if all goes well. So it's possible. That would importantly help. The budget's based on no increase. So any increase that we would get in enrollment would be a positive for us. As far as the attendance, you guys know that 95% is what it's kind of based on. And we ended the year down a little bit from the prior year, not very much though, but we still maintained a 94% attendance rate for all of last school year. So hopefully we will maintain that 94% or maybe move a little closer to the 95%. So, you know, there's, with enrollment and attendance, we have some room to maybe grow and improve our budget situation for next fiscal year. Let's see, this is a information item only on this budget. So we solved this summary, and I've given you two or three spreadsheets. One is the district appropriations by campus and by department. And the yellow highlights over there are the amounts that we've approved to get to our projected balance, budget that we have and that we're presenting to you tonight. On the far right over there, you have like the increase and decrease. So I will go curriculum and instruction, decreased a pretty good amount. The reason for that is we took Kate. We don't think we're going to need any additional expenditures for Kate in order to meet the Kate allotment. So that was removed, and that was one of the reasons for the decline in curriculum and instruction. Playoff expenses went up 30. We've been spending more than 100,000 for the last few years. We're doing well in the playoffs. That's sports as well as UIL, and we're happy for it, but it's costly. But we're going to go ahead and budget 30% more, anticipating, you know, continued good luck with those programs. The maintenance went up 121,000, 70,000. That's the insurance on the property and casualty. The INS line 18 is going up 500,000, and that's the payment that I just mentioned to you. That we budgeted an extra principal payment of 500,000. And then the fine arts went up very significantly, and that's primarily due to the uniforms that they'll be getting new uniforms. It's every 8 or 10 years, something like that. And then on the top row there has human resources, and it shows a 1,000,008 increase. And so I've taken that 1.8 and I've detailed it on the next slide. Can you scroll down to the next slide? There you go. So on line 13, that's the 600,000 that we're adding to Fund 199 from the ESSER 3 end. The raises 650,000, what I mentioned that earlier. The added positions, I got 750, but then we have a reduced added positions, 50 down below, so that means a net added position of 700. And we're going to charge the security personnel, the SROs, to that new grant, 150,000. And we're going to add back the 122 for the cost of providing medical care to our employees. Long-term subs, we have quite a bit of that going on this past year, and we're going to try to reduce long-term sub expense by 50,000. Leanne's working on a special grant through Region 10, it's called the Capacity Grant, and we've kind of put in maybe 25,000 that we might get from that grant, and that's to pay for contract employees out of the spending program. As you know, that some of their positions are very difficult to fill, and they're having to fill those through contracts with companies rather than employees. And this is what that grant would do. It would help offset some of those contracted services. Extra payroll charges to grants, we'll expect maybe another 30,000 from Yancey's good work and all those grants. And so that gets us to the net of 1.817. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay. The next slide is the revenues. That's the district revenues. Most of that's going to come on line 5, which is the general fund, which is next year's revenues projected at $30,150,000. The other items pretty much stay the same. We did have an increase in the food service, so we're expecting better numbers there. Although the cost is also going up because you're going to approve tonight the contract with SFE, which has a 6.5% cost increase. And then the interest and sinking is $2,000,008,000. Moving down to the general fund revenues on the next slide, Dr. Pollard. So the taxes were going to go up maybe 400,000. That's on line 01. The next bigger change would be line 17, which is the SFP from the state, and that's going to be going up nearly $2 million from 16,054 to 17,920. In line 19, you see there the decrease from the SHARS program. We got 650 budgeted, and now we've budgeted 300. Impact aid is going to stay about the same. So that's a look at your general fund revenues. All right, so we'll be presenting this at the budget workshop in August, and then in August we'll be approving the final budget. But at this point, we're presenting to you a balanced budget. And thank you, Dr. Pollard, for all your help.
Thank you, Gerald.
We kept going back and forth, didn't we?
Yeah.
So let's pull a little bit more out.
Yeah.
We're getting close.
Yep.
All right, so any questions on that? And as an information item only, we'll let that stand. Hope you're pleased with the work that all the folks did on the
It's
budget.
a lot of hard
It
work.
took everybody.
It is. We appreciate
Yeah, it took
everybody's in
everybody.
on that.
But everybody had a real cooperative spirit, and that really helped. Nobody fussed too much. I think everybody's understanding, you know, the situation the school districts are in right now.
I'm telling you, that workshop was so helpful for me. It was like, oh my goodness,
It's a mess.
it's a mess. It is a mess.
All right, I guess the next item is the medical insurance, and that's the
Yeah, now we're into action.
action item. So as you're already familiar with this item, And it was really based on what happened with the budget. If we were able to come up with a balanced budget, we were gonna feel comfortable as your management of the school district to go ahead and recommend that we increase the school district's portion of the insurance, which goes from $417 a month, which is what it is currently, and we're gonna go to $446 a month, which is a $29 a month, or $348 a year per employee. And we have probably 300 or more employees that are on this, so the total, comes up to about 23,000. So the total premiums are 2.8 million, total insurance premiums for our medical. And 1.9 million is coming from the general fund. So, there's a pretty good amount that the employees pay on their own for the premiums. So it's a costly thing for all of us. And I know that there's an issue with Blue Cross Blue Shield and Scott and White, because they're not going to offer the Scott and White plan. And some of the providers at Scott and White are in the negotiations with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And so folks that did have some providers, doctors or whatnot, that were on the old Scott and White, they may not be part of the new plan. That's still kind of up in the air. So some of our folks may have to go find some other providers if that be the case. But they're still in negotiations, and we don't know yet what's going to happen to them. But anyway, I also have a handout or two here showing you the changes in the benefits. And then this sheet, this big old spreadsheet, I like that as a humdinger of a spreadsheet. You're gonna have fun with this one next year. You get to do this. So, you see, I wish I had a little pointer. I've given you several years. There's different plans, right? The Scott and White's going away. Then we have the Active Care Primary Plus, Active Care Primary, and then Active Care HD. And then, for instance, this is next year. Nobody's going to be on this one. So we're projecting that those people are going to be over here on this one. And these numbers will probably stay relatively the same right here from last year to next year. So we do have 353 covered employees. Times that $29 a month, which comes up to $123,000. Just go down a little bit more, please. Just a little. And then here, I've noted the plan change for next year. Number one, Scott and White's no longer be available as a plan starting next year. Participants going to have to select one of the other plans, and most likely they're going to select the Active Care Primary Plus, which is that one right there. TRX Active Care Primary Plus, there were no changes in coverage for next year. So that's one good thing. TRX Active Care Primary, the out-of-pocket increased from 7,500 individual, 15,000 family, to 8,050 individuals, 16,1 family. TRX Active Care HD, the deductible increases from 3,000 individuals, 6,000 family, to 32, so it was a pretty modest increase on the deductible for the high deductible plans. And the out-of-pocket expenses go from 7,515 to 8,050, so those are the things keep going up. So the premiums keep going up, and then these things keep going up. So overall, they're going to be responsible for more money out of pocket. And then this shows you the employee share. So the employees are paying about $1 million, and then we're paying about 1.9 million out of an overall $2.8 million. And so the increase, the employees is going up 15% average. Ours is going up 7%. The overall premiums increase is 9.6. And you remember, I told you that the state legislature's pumping in some money into this program to keep the rates below 10%. So they just did it, didn't they? So we'll see if the legislature next year, you know, keeps that up. If it doesn't, then this thing will just take off. And it could get kind of out of hand. So we recommend the school board approve the increase of the employer's part of the premiums to the new level of $340 a month.
Do I hear a motion? Linda? Second. Calvin, any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, now we'll go to salary schedules.
Okay. Thank you to the board on behalf of the employees. All right, so we did the best we could here in this area. Like I said, over half, or not, was it a third, not doing any raises whatsoever in school districts. We didn't want to do that. We needed to make some progress. Inflation rate's running about 3%. It had run higher for 2024, it looks like 3%. And they're having a hard time keeping it at 3% right now. But anything below a 3% raise, they're getting a cut, really, because of the inflation. So our goal was to try to hit around 3%. Which to do that, we needed to raise the scales up about 2%, and then step increases would provide about a % increase. So that's how we came up with the 3%. And then we also are recommending that we take some action. Remember the big curve? Don't remember this little chart? I'm going to pass this one around so you kind of take a look at it. There's 3 years in here. This bottom dark green is 2 years ago. That's where we were then. And this is how we are compared to other districts in this area. And this is the amount that we pay by step, like step 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 20, above the state minimum. The gold here has a yellow shading on it. It's up higher. It is this current year that we're in right now. So this year we did raise it up to this level, so we're making some progress. And we wanted to be able also to continue, not only just raise the scales, but also make some improvement in this basically 0 to 10 area, because that's how all of these guys work. They're front loading the 0 to 10s. So to be competitive, we need to stay with that philosophy. And so what we've done is we went and added $50 to step 11, and then every year from 11 down to 0, we added another 50. So by the time you get to 0, step 0, we've actually increased step 0 about $1,200. And so that got us over here, this curve is hit this green. So when you see this green one here is what we're projecting for next year. So this gives you a good idea of how we compare with other districts. And of course, the numbers that we're comparing it to are current year salaries that these districts have. But we don't know what they're going to do for next year. But we did make some progress on that 0 to 10. And the top end over here, we made some progress. But we're still actually pretty high compared to the other districts on the top end, the 30-year level. So that's what we're going to recommend, is that we take the teacher scale. We're going to add $600 to every scale, 0 to 30, flat across. And then we're going to take another $50, add it to step 11, and add another 50 for each step down to 0. So the total, when you look at the step 0, it's going up to the $600 plus this additional money on those 0 to 11s, which gives an addition of $1,200. And then I have the teacher scale. That's on it. There's the new teacher scale for next year. So the annual salary 0 years experience is $41,360. And that's $1,200 increase over what it is this year. So this year it's going up from 40,160 to 41,360. And then at the very end, the year 30 will be 65,140, which is $600 more than the current scale. So by doing this, if you prove that, then this is what the scale will look like, that we can post and start, we'll post it to our website. We'll start using the scale. Now, the professional and paraprofessionals, they all are kind of linked to the teacher scale based on a percentage. So all these positions, they have a percentage that has been determined, and that percentage is what it is based on the teacher scale. So the percentage could be 120%, and so you would just take the teacher scale and go down the years of experience. You take the annual amount, you multiply it times the factor of 120%, or sometimes in the pairs it's going to be below 100%, and then that automatically calculates the para scale and the professional scale. So the only single individual professional that was changed was Dr. Pollard, because you have a special contract with him. But all the other professionals and the paras remain exactly the same in terms of the pro rata portion of the teacher scale. And so just because of the teacher scale going up, they automatically get an increase in their scale as well. Let's see. So then that's how you come up with the professional scale. And then we have a paraprofessional scale. And the auxiliary was a 2%. We took a flat 2%, raised all the scales 2%, and the normal scale increase would have been at least 1%, which would have gotten to 3%. So it looks complicated, but actually once you get the teacher scale done, you know, the rest of it kind of falls into place. Unless you actually go in and make adjustments to specific scales, which we have not. Any questions on this? It's a lot of numbers.
Yeah, I know, but y'all done a good job of trying to help them as much as you can.
As much as we can, you know, really.
Yeah.
But we can't do any more and not have a balanced budget. Let's put it to you that way.
What is the ramification of an unbalanced budget?
Yeah. You're going to start dipping into your fund balance, and then your fund balance could get out of whack. If you're not careful. We're not that far, you know, I mean, we're in the good on the fund balance, but it's not so good that you can start dipping into it significantly.
Anybody else have a question? Do I have a motion that we accept the salary schedule as presented? Calvin, seconded by Linda. All in favor? Okay, food service contract.
Thank you, board, on behalf of the staff. Okay. The food service contract with SFE. We're in year 4 next year of a 5-year contract. So year after that, we'll have to go to rebid. But right now we can approve year 4, and we'll have one more renewal. And then that's it, we'll have to go to rebid. So and a lot of this handout stuff that you had in your board book is the whole thing that was approved by TDA. So it's all there. That's all the stuff that they requested when they said, we want your contract and we want to approve your contract. So they actually approved it, but it wasn't until June 3rd. And they had this like all year. I think we did this in December or January. They've had this for at least 4 months. And it's been sitting on it and sitting on it and sitting on it. We've been sitting there waiting, like, well, you know, this contract starts July 1. So, you know, and it's got to be approved by the board. And they meet June 17, and they're telling us that you got to approve it. They've already approved it. Now you have to approve it, and then we have to get the signed thing over to them because you have a letter of approval here in the packet. And it was dated June 3rd, but they said we want it back June 21. What's that, 4 days from now? So anyway, that's TDA for you. Drives Emily crazy. So there were no really significant changes in the contract. The main thing was we go up each year based on the consumer price index. And there's a very specific index that's mentioned in the contract. And that was one thing that TDA was wanting us to change the index. And they said, well, that's the index that's in the contract. And y'all approved the contract last year and the year before and the year before. So we're not going to agree to a change in the index because that's what is in the contract. So I don't know, they must have some new people down there. And they thought, well, this other index shows you with a less. It would have been like a 5% increase. So no, this is the index that we use. It's the index that we've always used. It's in the contract, and it's a 6.5% increase. And so that's basically what we've done. We've increased the rate that we're going to pay to SFE, Megan, by 6.5, and they finally came back and approved that. So that's great. So the total cost of the contract is estimated around $900,000. This comes out of the 240 fund. We have a surplus in 240. We're showing budget-wise we're going to have another surplus, but we're able to use surpluses to buy things, you know, equipment. So we're doing some stuff this summer for the cafeterias, and we have to submit a plan to TDA on how we're going to use up the excess fund balance. So those of you who've been around a while, there was a day when we weren't talking like that one there.
Yeah, right.
Because we were like losing maybe $300,000 a year in child nutrition. So those days are gone. Thank you, Megan, for all that hard work. You and your crew, see, do good work. And they're doing good on summer feeding, by the way, too. So you get to approve this monstrosity of a contract. And like I said, the main thing is just the increase in the prices that we pay, because they're on a fixed price per meal. Any questions about the food service contract? No? So we're presenting this contract to you for your approval, board. This is
Do I
a
hear a
contract
motion?
for next fiscal year.
Calvin makes a motion that we approve it, and Mary Ann seconds it. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I'd have to go
For
back.
3 days to spare.
I'd have to go back to TDA, so the board didn't approve it. Only got 4 days.
Minimum grade requirements.
They're gonna have it that 4 days.
Okay. Is that all of mine?
Thanks, Daryl. Yeah, that's all yours.
Thank you, board.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
We have a couple of action items that we routinely take care of this time of year. We have to post a list of all our advanced courses, which we'll have in our handbook. And then you guys have to approve on a minimum grade requirement for those advanced courses. And so you have the list in front of you or in the packet on what will be posted in our handbook. And the recommendation is to approve the proposal that student athletes maintain a minimum of a 60 average in any advanced courses to be considered passing with regard to UIL no pass, no play rule. That's a recommendation.
I went to a workshop at TASB. Linda was with me. Found this intriguing. One district in the state, the school board was demanding that the administration show why there weren't as many kids being college ready. And this was in a school district that was basically split 50-50. Part of the district was in a really, really high achieving area, and the scores were very good, and one part of it was very low. And they were concerned about what we're going to do. And their solution was a goal for next year is 70% of every student in the district, and there are 25,000 kids. will be in no less than honors courses. Because they figure that's one way to improve college readiness and get the kids ready in reading and math and whatever. I thought that was intriguing, because if they're gonna go that high, they're gonna start including some kids that are probably in some tutorials.
And these kids are the ones that are most involved in several sports for
Yeah.
us and lots of things. And we want to entice them to take these advanced courses. And so it gives them a little bit of a break.
So
If
you-
everything's equal, they'll
Do you
pick
see
the
a
easier
big
course.
correlation between college readiness and the foundation courses that they take? They found that there were a lot of kids that were taking courses that contributed nothing to college readiness. And that was, I think that was by TEA's evaluation. They went in, there's a thing called Texas Government Audit that comes in and they audit all of your courses, and they tell you which ones are worth worth anything to the kids. I just thought that was very interesting. You know, we've always thought that, you know, the cream of the crop take the honors courses, and they're saying that we're ignoring a huge portion of our, you know, I don't know if you would call it the quality teaching is in those courses or whatever, but.
Well, our main advanced courses is the on-ramp system, which is, you know, following UT.
Yeah, and they have that too.
They get trained every year.
But they're not,
Are you saying that school district is requiring them to do that?
they're counseling nearly every single kid in the school to take honors courses.
Because it is a choice.
Because it's a choice.
Yeah.
But when they're telling the parents that your kid has 4 things on their schedule that this new Texas government audit shows that doesn't contribute anything to college readiness. And yet we're saying, we're evaluating part of our district's evaluation right from the state is on college readiness. Anyway, so I thought it was very interesting. All right, do I have a motion that we accept the minimum grade requirements? Linda? I have a second. Calvin, any further discussion? All in favor?
The second one is a routine MOU with Temple College. It's our partnership for the Texas Bioscience Institute that, you know, our students are eligible to take and be able to earn an associate's degree. And so we're just enacting the MOU to keep that partnership going. We don't have any students currently in that program, but we are still keeping our program or our partnership with Temple College. And so the recommendation is to approve the MOU with Temple College so GHS students may continue to take advantage of dual credit coursework offered through the Texas Bioscience Institute.
Do I hear a motion we accept that? Okay, Linda? Sorry, Mary Ann, and Linda, you got a second? All in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Temple ISD, Regional Day School. Well, hello.
I also have an item that we just have to get ready for next year that we always do. This is continuing with our shared service agreement with the Temple Regional Day School for the Deaf. So we've got some kiddos that need more than what we can provide for them here. And so we always do this shared service agreement with Temple so that they can utilize their the things that they have set in place that we don't have. We've had a student going to Temple Regional Day School for the Deaf for the last 2 years. I do not think that student is going to continue. I think they're going to try to come back here. They've worked really hard to be able to come back. But we have other things that we can do with them when we're in a shared service agreement that can help our kiddos that are hearing impaired here. And they can come and help with some itinerant services and stuff like that. So I recommend that we continue our shared service agreement with Temple Regional Day School so that we can provide our kids with what they need that are hearing impaired.
Do I hear a motion? Mary Ann, second. Charles, all in favor? There you go.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, we got some policy updates.
Sir,
A bunch of
mid-year,
them.
oh yeah, mid-year policy updates. It's a big packet, fairly mundane, most of it. As we read through all the different changes, they alerted us to a couple of things to call them about. One of them being, okay, you have a police department. Call us, we need to talk you through what type of leave options to offer the police officers. And the TASB policy expert that we always talk to, she said, I'm so proud of you, Barrett. You actually read the policy. Because most people, they just, oh, okay, I approved the policies. And so we do read through them. And so I answered some questions for her, and she will at a later date email us the leave policy for policemen that we'll have in a later board meeting. The second one that's a little bit more of high interest would be if a book is challenged in the library. They've had multiple policies come out, and this is just another continuation of, you get a committee together and the committee reads the book and then they weigh in on it and all that. The only thing they asked if you wanted to make any changes, and I just asked that the superintendent be the one that helps lead the committee. I wouldn't be involved in it. And so she said, oh yeah, we'll change that wording. And we have not had any book challenges in all the years that I've been here. I don't recall any book challenges. Nancy, you didn't have any under your years.
We didn't read when I was with it.
So we've been fortunate on that front. So those were the only two that had any like little asterisks next to it saying, you know, call us, talk to us about it. So I would recommend that the board replace, add, and delete all the local policies as listed in the board agenda per the recommendations by TASB, who we know and trust.
Do I hear a motion? Okay, Calvin, second. Charles, any further discussion? All in favor? Got it. All right, staff development minutes waiver.
Last one, we did this last year. We completed this waiver. So every time we offer professional development during the year and we want it to count towards our instructional minutes, we ask the state for this waiver. And so it's pretty mundane. Specifically, all the days on our school calendar that are labeled staff development, I think they're in blue. If we offer high quality professional development where it's not just a work day, but we're actually training and we're all together in the cafeteria, auditorium, whatever, that counts towards instructional minutes. And so that just adds to our cushion in case we did have a flood, a blizzard, a fire, whatever. And so we'll need to document the different types of PD we offer, but again, the state usually, we submit the request and they approve it. So I would recommend that the board approve the staff development minutes waiver as presented.
Do I hear a motion? Calvin, second. Linda?
Which
All
one?
in,
They both raise their hands, Linda, raise
Linda's
your hand.
okay.
Linda.
Okay, Linda.
Got it?
Got it.
All right, all in favor? All right, sorry about that. All right, executive session begins right now, and it is 6:37.